Isn't it totally pathetic? I'm sure it's landing with the handful of people that Gavin Newsom cares about, the only people he cares about, which is Democrat Party activists, because he's obviously only focused on his presidential ambitions, not at all interested in what happens in California. Right now in California, while Gavin Newsom prattles on about Trump and trolling him on social media and all this ridiculous merch, which he's focused on, we have the highest unemployment in the country. Today, on this Labor Day, California has the highest unemployment rate of any state, the highest poverty rate, the highest taxes. People are traveling on Labor Day in California, unlike the rest of the country, where gas prices are down thanks to President Trump's policies. In California, the highest in the country. That's why I'm running for governor. We need a governor in California who actually solves our problems. My plan is for $3 gas instead of $5, $6 gas, which we have with Gavin Newsom, to actually get our economy going again, so we become not the worst place in America to do business, which is what we are now with all the taxes and regulations, but the best. We can't afford to go on with all this nonsense from Gavin Newsom. So I think that he's going to be defeated this November with his ridiculous election rigging scheme, and that I'm going to defeat the Democrats next November because it's time for change in California.
Well, it's up to the voters, right? You got to be active in these state elections. They are just so important. I wanted to talk to you about California Assembly Republican leader James Gallagher, because he's proposing something interesting, Steve. He wants the state to be split into two, and he's frustrated with the new proposed maps. But under his plan, most of Northern California, the Sierra Nevada, the Central Valley, and Inland Empire would split off from the coastal deep blue part of the state. He unveiled the legislation needed to take the action at a news conference recently, and he had this to say to Gavin Newsom.
A long time ago, a man went to a great king in a land where his people were being completely oppressed, economically oppressed in many different ways. And he said to that king, "Let my people go." Well, in kind of the same token this morning, I'm saying, Gavin, let my people go.
Seems a bit far-fetched, right?
Yeah.
But Steve, you are running. Could you speak to the sentiment and whether you would support that plan?
Yeah, look, I love James Gallagher. He's a friend of mine, and I think he's doing a great job, but I don't agree with him about this, because to me, it's like kind of giving up. And actually, this is the moment when we really can bring change to California. That's why I'm running. It's a much more Republican state than people think. In the last elections, with President Trump running as the candidate for president, who got more votes in California than any Republican for a generation, you saw 10 counties flip from blue to red. So the tide is turning in California. I'm not saying it's going to be easy to flip California, but it's not impossible. And so my argument is, let's fight for it. Let's go for it. There's a majority of Californians, according to all the polls, who think the state's going in the wrong direction, and it's time for change. If we put forward a positive, practical alternative, a real plan for things like $3 gas, cutting your bills in half, a home that you can afford, practical things. That's what I'm running on. I think we can do it. So I would say to James and everyone else, give me a shot. Let's go for it for 2026. If we don't pull it off, then maybe let's look at that. But right now, I think we really have a chance of winning in California, so let's go for it.
There have been Republican governors in the Golden State before, not too long ago, so that is something to consider. Plus, I just think back to the national headlines surrounding the devastating Palisades fire. So much frustration surrounding how that was handled that, yes, maybe you will reach out to some voters who would have voted Democrat in the past. I wanted to ask you also about your state's sex education program. There's some issues that the Trump administration takes with the content of it, having to do with gender ideology and what age students should be discussing this. We spoke with an assistant secretary at HHS, that's Andrew Grattison, on National Report, and he explained why the administration is taking note. Watch this.